Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritta Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriye. Nastaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Beg the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas so that we may have a nice discussion today on this most glorious Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. So today, been asked to read from Canto 4, Chapter 19, text number 8. And the title of the chapter is King Prithu's 100 Horse Sacrifices. So again, reading from 4:19, text 8. Uhu sarvadasanadya shira dadiyanagorasan daravo buri varshmanaha prasuyante madhyuchutaha. Uhu, boar. Sarvadasan, all kinds of tastes. Nadyaha, the rivers. Shira, milk. Dadi, curd. Anna, different kinds of food. Gorasan, other milk products. Tadavaha, trees. Buri, great. Varshmanaha, having bodies. Prasuyanta, pour fruit. Madhuchuta, dropping honey. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. Purport. If rivers are not polluted and are allowed to flow in on their own way, or sometimes allowed to flood the land will become very fertile and able to produce all kinds of vegetables, trees, and plants. The word rasa means taste. Actually, all rasas are tastes within the earth, and as soon as the seeds are sown in the ground, various trees sprout up to satisfy our different tastes. For instance, sugarcane provides its juice to satisfy our tastes for sweetness, and oranges provide their juices to satisfy our tastes for mixture of sour and sweet. Similarly, there are pineapples and other fruits. At the same time, there are chilies to satisfy our taste for pungency. Although the earth's ground is the same, different tastes arise due to different kinds of seeds. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam, I am the original seed of all existence. Therefore, all arrangements are there. As stated in Ishopanishad, Purnam Idam, complete arrangements for the production of all necessities of life are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should therefore learn how to satisfy the Yagna Purusha, Lord Vishnu. Indeed, the living entity's prime business is to satisfy the Lord, because the living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Thus, the whole system is so arranged that the living entity must do his duty as he is constitutionally made. Without doing so, all living entities must suffer. That is the law of nature. The words Taravo Buri Varshmana indicate very luxuriantly grown, big-bodied trees. The purpose of these trees was to produce honey and varieties of fruit. In other words, the forest also has its purpose in supplying honey, fruits, and flowers. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, due to an absence of yajna, there are many big trees in the forest, but they do not supply sufficient fruits and honey. Thus, everything is dependent on the performance of yajna. The best way to perform yajna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagratatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyabari Paschata Deshatarine Hai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So I'll just read again the translation of the verse. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. So the section in this that we are in, chapter 19, King Prithu is performing these 100 horse sacrifices. In the 17th chapter, we got a glimpse of this sacrifice, and we hear that Lord Indra has stolen the horse that was to be sacrificed in the 100th of such Ashmaveda Yajna. And so now Maitreya Muni is explaining to Vidura this story of what exactly happened. And King Prithu, being a great ruler and a great king, is showing us one of the very important principles of our existence within this material world, and that is the need for yajna. So we'll discuss today a fair bit about the importance of yajna and why we do yajna. And ultimately, Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport with guiding us on the proper execution of yajna in this age of Kali. So in the opening sentence, Srila Prabhupada is speaking here about if the rivers are not polluted. And we speak in the world today about the need for environmental cleanup and how the earth is being degraded, global warming, pollution of our rivers, pollution of our air, pollution of all of the natural food supplies. And we can understand that it is actually the Srimad Bhagavatam that is the best environmental cleanup process. Because pollution of Mother Earth begins with a contamination of the heart. When the heart is contaminated, then we see the activities that take place today. So to clean up the environment, to clean up the rivers, to clean up the forest, to clean the air, we actually must first clean the heart. And this Srimad Bhagavatam gives us great instruction on how to cleanse the heart. If you take the simple fact here of rivers being polluted, why do factories dump their waste into the rivers? And if we ask that question, we'll see, well, it is out of laziness, possibly. But as we analyze more and more, we say, well, it is cheaper. It is cheaper to dispose it into the river than to properly dispose of it. And so we can understand, well, the owner of that factory is looking to increase its profits. And so due to this greed, this desire for additional profits, then the factory finds ways to decrease costs, even at the expense of polluting Mother Earth. So that is one angle. But the other side, there must be another side to that equation, is that the products being produced by the factory must be in demand. If there is not demand for such products, then there is no point, no scope for the factory to produce. So supply of product always meets demand, basic microeconomic theory. So where is that demand coming from? It is coming from all of us. Due to the greed in the heart or the lustful desire for so many things, we then demand such products. And we are ourselves also guilty of this profit maximization situation. That, the factories that produce products on a clean basis, yet charge us more money, we don't buy. We want the cheapest product, the cheapest available, irrespective of the means in which they are produced. That is why we see so much exploitation around the world, of children being forced into very difficult, labor conditions, women, adults, seniors, the pollution of our environment. What is the root cause of it? It is greed. Greed from us as consumers and by the suppliers, the factories, the businesses. So it is prevalent all around. If we live as Srila Prabhupada guided us with this simple living and high thinking, then we wouldn't need all these products. And if there was no need of the products, no demand, then there would be no consideration of pollution. So this pollution begins and ends in the heart. If there is no greed, no lust in that heart, then the environment itself will become very naturally cleansed. And we saw in the last chapter, Mother Earth was withholding grains, food grains, due to the non-devotional practices. So like everything we see, all the answers come from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all here. Perfect society can run and exist on these Bhagavad principles. So I was intrigued by Srila Prabhupada's comment here about the pollution of the rivers. The next point he makes in this purport is about this rasa, taste. And Srila Prabhupada is commenting that all the rasas come from earth. We see again here the amazing creation of Krishna. How extraordinary this creation is that he has arranged. That you can plant a chili seed right next to a mango seed. And in one plant will come extraordinarily spicy chilies. And in the tree right next to it, from the same earth, same soil, you'll get the sweetest of sweet mangoes. how Krishna has arranged that a seed can pull specific tastes from the earth and grow them into chilies and mangoes. As Srila Prabhupada puts apples and pineapples, sweet and sour, oranges. This is the amazing creation that Krishna has given to all of us. This amazing ability. But this rasa that we are in search of, we are all in search of rasa. And Srila Rupa Goswami, in presenting this Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, is guiding us that the ultimate taste, the ultimate pleasure that one wants is achieved in bhakti, in devotional service. All of the mundane rasa, the taste from even the pineapples and mangoes, if they're not offered to Krishna, will not quench the thirst we have for this sweet taste. We want sweet tastes. But that rasa is fully quenched in our devotional life, in our practice of bhakti. Because in bhakti rasa, that taste is unlimited. The more you relish it, the more sweet it tastes. Today is sweeter than yesterday, and tomorrow will be sweeter than today. That is the beauty of devotional life. That we can go on eternally relishing the same tastes, yet it is sweeter each time. And we know in material life, whatever rasa we get from any material object, even if it's a mango, we can think it's so sweet. If they're unoffered to Krishna, of course I'm speaking. But if you ate mango every day, every meal, for the rest of your life, would you consider it sweet? No, we will become very tired of it. That is the nature of all material rasa. Is that the more we experience, the less we enjoy. But in spiritual life, it's the complete opposite. It's inverted. The more we taste, the more we enjoy. And that is because the material world is but a reflection of the spiritual world. So this is the rasa we must ultimately aspire for, is the sweet taste of devotional service. But it is amazing how Krishna has arranged this planet around us such that a seed can pull out such variety. Imagine what our existence would be if there was not such variety. And Srila Prabhupada quotes from this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam, that the seed of all existence is Krishna. And this is a very important, fundamental understanding, that the seed of all existence is Krishna. In chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is making 3 essential points in the beginning for the goal of helping us understand why we must surrender to Krishna. First, he says that I am the source of everything. I am everything. Everything around us is either his para shakti or apara shakti, his superior spiritual energy or his inferior material energy. Everything. Everything we see around us is an energy of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada comments in those purports that there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Just like we can say there is no difference between the sun rays and the sun planet. Yet also simultaneously there is a difference. This is that inconceivable potency. We won't go down that path. But we can understand that everything around us, Krishna is establishing in the 7th chapter, is one of his energies. Then he goes on to say that he is also the essence of everything. So whatever it is that we are experiencing, Krishna is that essence of that. He gives the example of water. He says, I am the taste of water. water has this miraculous ability to quench our thirst. When you're extraordinarily thirsty, actually nothing else will quench your thirst as fully as water. Yet we say, well, water has no taste. Well, no, actually water has a taste. And that taste is Krishna. That essence of that water, which is that taste that quenches the thirst, that is Krishna. So he is everything around energy. He is the essence of everything. And then he goes on to make the third point, that he is the source and controller of it all. And so the conclusion here, by understanding this topics from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is that we are all surrendered to Krishna. It is only a question of whether we are doing so knowingly or unknowingly. Because the materialist is fully surrendered to Krishna. Everything the materialist is engaging is the energies of Krishna, fully dependent on Krishna. And the devotee is also surrendered to Krishna. But the devotee's surrender is one of acknowledgement, understanding that yes, Krishna is my supreme friend and maintainer and provider. And thus that surrender has a reciprocation with it. That creates one's perfect existence, this very blissful, peaceful life. So it is not a question of if to surrender to Krishna. We are surrendered. We have no existence without him. As Prabhupada quotes, I am this original seed of all existences. We have no choice. Just like if you're on an airplane. If you're on an airplane, every single passenger is fully surrendered to the ability and intention of the pilot. Fully surrendered. Now, the child sitting in the plane may have no concept of that. But the fact that he has no concept of that does not negate the fact that he surrendered. So similarly, the adult on the plane may have consciousness and understanding. So this is our position, our situation in the material world, is we are all surrendered to Krishna. And our process of devotional service is bringing us to understand how and ultimately bring us to the point of this loving surrender to Krishna. That is the goal of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon everything and mamekam. Just surrender to Krishna out of love. So this is Srila Prabhupada is establishing here in the middle of the purport. And then he goes on to say that complete arrangements for production of all necessities of life are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as we see in the Ishopanishad, Om Purnam, Daha Purnam, that this creation is complete. It has all arrangements. We are not meant to slave away in the factories to make necessary arrangements. Nature provides everything we need if we are willing to live this principle of simple living, high thinking. Everything we need is provided by nature. Krishna has arranged it so. It is complete, holy. All necessary arrangements. So then, why do we see shortages? Why is there water shortages virtually throughout the world? There is a fear of lack of water. If there is full and complete arrangements, why are there shortages? One may ask. So we understand that the provisions are there. But how to acquire the provisions of the world? It requires the process of yajna. One must do sacrifice, yajna. And again, in Bhagavad Gita, the whole third chapter is established the principle of the need to do yajna. And the basic premise of the need to do yajna is common knowledge. Everybody understands this. Our neighbors, our friends, society, and of course the devotees. But we don't understand the extent of yajna. But the basic premise is very simple and common sense. We pay for anything we use. What happens if we don't pay the electric bill? We use the electricity, but we don't pay the bill. The electricity stops coming. What if we don't pay the water bill or the gas bill? We use, but we don't pay it, the bill. That is, we cut off supply. If we don't do the yajna, the sacrifice of paying off the debt, we have very common practical knowledge that the supply is cut off. Nobody will argue that principle. The only question then becomes, do we have to pay for the rains? Do we have to pay for the sun? For the minerals within the earth? The air all around us? And so many other things that we exist on? When we say you must do yajna to Lord Vishnu to provide, we say no. We're willing to do yajna to man's laws. The electric bill, gas bill, water bill. But out of ignorance, this need to do yajna to Krishna's laws become, you don't need that. Oh, it is foolish to think that yajna will bring rains. You people, you have no understanding. But this basic premise exists everywhere. So we can understand by very simple logic that yajna must be performed. And the reason is that we don't own anything. Why do we have to pay the electric bill? Because we didn't create the electricity. Somebody else did. So then why do we have to pay the sun bill? Because we didn't create the sun. We assume, oh, that's just there. Well, when I plug my phone into the outlet of the charger into the plug, I don't just assume, oh, the electricity is just there. I know there's a person, there's an institution behind that. Yet when I look out the window and see the sun providing so many wonderful facilities, I lose sight. And no, that is also being provisioned by some person. And who is that person? That is the Yajna Purusha. That is Krishna or Vishnu. So this need for Yajna is very important. Again, when we say, oh, the food shortages can be solved by Yajna, by paying our bills, no. That's foolishness. Sentimentalism, the materialist will claim. But it is complete foolishness to negate the need for yajna. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 again, Krishna says, even taking an apple from the tree requires yajna. If you don't offer it to Krishna, then you are a thief. One is verily eating sin, he says in the 13th verse. And we know what is the result of sin or thieving? Suffering, punishment. If you don't pay your electric bill, there's punishment. You don't get electricity. So all the shortages we see around us are due simply and exclusively to a lack of yajna, a lack of consciousness. There's so much greed and selfishness. I don't have to sacrifice back. I don't need to give back to Krishna. No, I can enjoy. He smashes our ego in this third chapter. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimutatma kartaham iti manyate. Says you are not the doer of anything. Your ahankara, your false ego, is convincing you that you are the doer. Yet, it is all being done by nature. So because we are not the doer, our life must be a yajna, sacrifice. Every single thing we are experiencing, enjoying, utilizing in this world, when you plant a seed into the ground, to the earth, and you are extracting from it some rasa, some taste, who has provided that taste? It is Krishna. So we must then offer that back. Otherwise, we'll see the conditions that we see today. Shortages, difficulties, so much absence. Shortages are not due to increase of population. Remember, Om Purnam Adaha Purnam. Everything is perfectly complete. There's sufficient for all living entities, not just the human species of life. We may be counting how many billions of people are here. There are 7, 8 billion people. Okay, 100 years ago, there were 2 billion, whatever. But what about all the other billions and billions and trillions of living entities? All of them are being provided with sufficient foodstuffs, provided that there is yajna. So Prithu Maharaj is showing us the expert process by performing yajna. He had already milked the earth of all of the food grains very intelligently. And now he's beginning the process of this Ashwamedha Yajna. 100 of such yajnas, showing that yajna should be done to one's ability. King Prithu had great ability, great resources. So one should perform to one's ability. So this yajna is extraordinarily important, as we understand. And ultimately, Srila Prabhupada brings in the purport that indeed the living entity's prime business is to satisfy the Lord, because the living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. So he's taking that, yes, yajna you need for your own existence. That is the preliminary basis of yajna. That to repay the debt of all that we are using, one must do yajna. But ultimately, Krishna is taking us to the point, Srila Prabhupada is bringing us to the point that because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are meant exclusively to serve Krishna. The example Prabhupada always gives is the hand is part of the body. And the hand has a constitutional position, which is to serve the body. Thus, similarly, the jiva, this living entity, being part and parcel of Krishna, has his constitutional position to serve Krishna. And it goes even further that we were made, our whole existence was made for one purpose. And this is the ego smashing statement, even beyond Prakriti Kriyamanani, that we were made to be enjoyed by Krishna. That is it. Our entire existence is to be enjoyed by Krishna. Not okay, I want to enjoy some facilities, so I'll give some yajna back to Krishna so that I may enjoy. That is better than no yajna. But full consciousness is understanding. We have only one purpose for our existence, and that is to be enjoyed by Krishna, to facilitate Krishna's pleasure. Though we have such an infinitesimal, tiny ability to please Krishna, that is our only purpose of existence. And when the devotee acts in such relationship, such understanding, that I'm only to be enjoyed by Krishna, when one surrenders to Krishna in such a mood of selfless service, of pure devotional service, then one actually enjoys So the more one tries to be enjoyed by Krishna, actually the more one enjoys. And the more one tries to enjoy independent of Krishna, the less one enjoys. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect recipe to unwind our confused logic and bring us to this principle of understanding. We have one existence, which is to be enjoyed by Krishna. And thus, Srila Prabhupada is saying this whole system is arranged that the living entity must do this duty. I just wanted to conclude with Srila Prabhupada is commenting at the end of this purport, this best way to perform yajna is to perform this Sankirtana yajna. And we see the Sankirtana yajna so elaborately performed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his associates. In Navadvip, they began, once Lord Nityananda arrived in Navadvip, this Sankirtana movement, starting initially in the house of Srivas Thakur and Srivas Anand, and slowly began to take to the streets to spread this Sankirtana yajna. Door to door, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur would go, begging everyone to chant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself traveled all throughout India. We have the very beautiful pastime of the Jharkhand forest, where he engaged even the animals, the tigers and deers and snakes and elephants, in the chanting of the holy names, spreading this Sankirtana. Narottam Das Thakur, when inaugurated the Keturi festival, celebrating the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some 100 or so years after the appearance. What was the principal festival, component of the festival? Sankirtana. Ecstatic kirtan, chanting of the holy names. And that tradition carried through Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and our beloved Srila Prabhupada, who encouraged us to go out and spread this message, to share the holy names. What's interesting in this purport is that Srila Prabhupada writes, and I just wanted to read this sentence again. The best way to perform yajna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. He doesn't say to do Sankirtan. He says the best way to perform yajna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. It is the sharing of the holy names, the Sankirtana yajna, that is the best process of yajna. And we have some great evidence in Srimad Bhagavatam about the potency of the holy names. I just wanted to read a few verses in the 6th canto, 2nd chapter. This is the story of Ajamil. And we know that this pastime is being explained after the very graphic and sometimes difficult to digest details of the punishments in the hellish planets are given in the 5th canto to uplift the mood and spirit of Parikshit Maharaj. Shukadev Goswami begins to explain this pastime to show that yes, all these hellish conditions are very difficult, but by the process of chanting the holy names, one can be very quickly relieved of such suffering. And particularly in the 2nd chapter of Canto 6, verses 7 through 20, very, very powerful statements about the potency of the holy names. And sometimes, at least speaking for myself only, maybe shy or not so enthusiastic to go out and give the holy names to others. By reading these verses, maybe we can acquire together some inspiration and faith in the potency of the holy names and the inspiration to distribute them. So I'll just read a few of them. Ajamil has already atoned for his sinful actions. Indeed, he has atoned not only for his sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. For in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayana. Even though he did not chant purely, he chanted without offense, and therefore he is now pure and eligible for liberation. This chanting, this is verse 10. The chanting in the holy names of Lord Vishnu is the best process for atonement, for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a brahmana, for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or other superior. It is also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king or his father, for one who slaughters cows, for other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. You can see the beautiful chanting, the great glories, and many, many verses continue on like this. There was one more I wanted to read. If such a person, unaware of the effective potency of a certain medicine, takes that medicine or is forced to take it, it will act even without his knowledge, because its potency does not depend on the patient's understanding. Similarly, even though one does not know the value of chanting the holy name of the Lord, if one chants knowingly or unknowingly, the chanting will be very effective. Here we see the great value in going out and spreading the holy names. Even if one doesn't understand the value of it, the effect is there. The potency is there. And this very beautiful analogy of if you take the medicine, whether you understand how it works in your body or not, it doesn't matter. You don't need knowledge of the science of the medicine for it to be effective. Similarly, knowledge of the science of the holy names is not required for it to be effective. So we don't have to be even so expert in understanding the glories of the holy name. But by just giving it, one can attain perfection of life. Another verse in this section speaks about even if one jokingly chants the holy names of the Lord, there is no loss. So Srila Prabhupada is guiding us that we should be enthusiastic to spread the Sankirtana movement. It is so potent and so powerful. And some of these verses from Canto 6, Chapter 2, give us some inspiration, some faith in the holy names and what it can do by spreading them. And we can remember that by giving the holy names, we can then have some hope to receive them by spreading it. And I wanted to read, because we just celebrated the incorporation of ISKCON, and these 7 purposes that Srila Prabhupada established. You can see that the foundation, the fundamental purpose of ISKCON is to spread and propagate the holy names. In these 7 purposes, you'll see. And these purposes carry all the way back to when Srila Prabhupada started the League of Devotees in Jhansi, decades before. So I'll read the 7 just so that we can enjoy them and hear, as we're hearing these 7 purposes, how much emphasis Srila Prabhupada is putting on spreading of this Sankirtana movement. So 1, to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. That was the first purpose of ISKCON. 2, to propagate a consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, as we are doing here today. 3, to bring members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, and thus to develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, Krishna. 4, to teach and encourage the Sankirtana movement of congregational chanting of the holy name of God, as revealed in the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 5, to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna. 6, to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life. And 7, with a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. So we can see the foundation, the core of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON is to spread the Sankirtana movement. So we can try to take to this process of spreading the holy names, understanding its great importance, understanding that this Sankirtana Yajna is the only means of easing the pains of suffering in this material world. Due to the vast lack of yajna, sacrifice being performed, we see the difficult conditions all around us. But by the practice of this Sankirtana Yajna, the only real yajna that can be performed in this age, we can very quickly uplift the condition, not only for ourselves, but for all humanity. You can see the mood of a devotee is paradukha dukhi. The only pain a devotee feels is the pain and suffering of others. And that is what inspires the devotee to go out and spread these holy names, to spread the process of chanting, to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And so we can pray for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled Vaishnavas that we can go out today and do something to share these holy names, to share this process Sankirtan. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Anantakoti Vaishnavinda. Any discussion, corrections, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, such a beautiful class, very, very beautiful points, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class and very apt examples that you have given for that, Krishna is a sincere giver. You should try to pay. If you are not paying, you need to suffer. Such a beautiful example, Prabhuji, and also for the taking the holy name, and also spreading the holy name. That's also the very nice points you have pointed in the class, Prabhuji. Very, very beautiful class, and especially that we are not the doer of everything. Krishna is the doer. Mm-hmm. We should not take the credit for everything. That's points. Everything is so beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I don't have any question, but such a beautiful class.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for your blessings.
Hare Krishna, I had a very nice class, first of all, wonderful as usual. I had a question, if that's okay.
Yes, Mataji, please.
You have been telling everybody about the spreading of the holy name, which is more important than anything else. Now, there are immense services when we talk about devotional services. So we talk about deity worship, we talk about the ones who are engaged in cooking, and for the deities, or just anything and everything included. So when we talk about spreading of the holy name, does that include basically that when we talk about preaching, book distribution, or when we are talking about spreading the holy name, this is including, does it encompass everything? Mm-hmm. Or one more question is, if it encompasses everything, does that mean that when who go out to preach, who go out for book distribution and tell the others about it, is that Krishna pleased more with that as compared to one would chant on their own? So these are the two questions.
Well, let me answer your last question by reading verse 68 and 69 from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is Krishna's opinion. This is Krishna's statement. After having explained everything, after having told Arjuna, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Machidamam Namaskuru, you do these 4 things. You abandon everything. You surrender unto me. He then says that for one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. And then Krishna says in the 69th verse, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be ever be one more dear. So Krishna is answering a question. For one who explains his supreme secret, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And then he says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be. So the spreading of this knowledge is most pleasing to Krishna. And very simple logic is there. If a mother and a father are separated from their child, and they are anxiously, in great pain, searching for that child, and after a great struggle, someone brings their child to them, is there anyone more dear to that mother and father than that someone who reconnected that mother and father with their beloved child? Is anyone more dear to them than that person? Krishna is suffering in pain. He is aching, missing all of his children. And if we play some small role in reconnecting that lost child to Krishna, imagine how pleased he may become with us. So yes, we must study ourselves. Yes, we must carry on our sadhana with great sincerity and dedication and enthusiasm for the purpose of building the strength and ability to play some tiny role in reconnecting Krishna's lost children with Krishna. So we must do our sadhana, we must do our study, but for the purpose of being able to spread this mission. And that is, look at Srila Prabhupada's whole life was a preparation for those final 12 years of a display of great compassion and love for all of us. So this is the most pleasing service to Krishna. Whatever we want to achieve in devotional life, if we try to give it to others, whatever our ability may be, that is the greatest and most pleasing service. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he broke open the storehouse of Krishna Prema. And he distributed it by not chanting on the banks of the Ganga by himself. No, by spreading it. And he engaged all of his associates in doing that seva. So what does he want us to do? He came to show us. So it's very cool. Now, to answer your first question, that Sankirtana Yajna, the spreading of the holy names, it does carry a broad context. And Srila Prabhupada has commented on that. maintaining the temple and the worship of the deities is a very important part of Sankirtan. Why Srila Prabhupada established 108 temples? If so much emphasis he put on book distribution and Harinam, why he established the temples? He established the temples to give a place where all of the devotees can gather in association and fuel their devotional life. For what purpose? To go out and spread it. So the core principle is very clear in Srila Prabhupada's 7 purposes of ISKCON. Right? So we didn't build temples to stay within the temples for ourselves. No, we built temples to create a safe haven for all living entities to gather, to go out and spread and bring them. Lord Jagannath does it himself. He goes out of the temple to see those who are not willing to come to see him there and invites them back home. Krishna himself is doing it. So we may be performing different services. And, I may be chopping vegetables. Is that Sankirtana? Yes, if it's connected in the ultimate process of saving Krishna's children. Because that is, as he said at the end of Bhagavad Gita, the most core. So we don't be exclusive and that the only seva is out on the streets singing and dancing. But we also understand that all of our service, how is it connected to propagating the holy names? Right? So what can I do? Yes, we may not be so apt to go out and distribute books on the street. Okay, then what can I do in support of that? What may I do? There's something we can do. So we should have sight of the essence of our movement. That is to spread the holy names, distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And the worship in the temple is a very important part of that process. Sometimes we take the extreme view also. Oh, that if you're not out on Harinam, you're not a devotee. That also is incorrect. That is not appropriate, right? So, but we should understand how everything is related to the ultimate, most pleasing service. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So basically, all the services are interrelated, but not to lose sight of the main goal. So, what the main goal is, and whatever we are doing, whatever best we can do according to our abilities and skills, we should do. Right, Prabhuji, that's what I'm thinking.
Srila Prabhupada said, all the devotees should go out, but one should stay back to serve the deities. So we can understand, let's not get comfortable in our, very wonderfully established temples and enjoy prasad amongst ourselves.
Yeah, like something on the Rath Yatra day, it's like majority or 99% of the people will be there, but there has to be one couple of people there in the temple too to do the regular seva, the deity worship, the deity cooking has to go on.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's very nice.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Nice class, Prabhu. Very nice points. Prabhuji, one question. Practically, how do we understand or any verse that states that when Krishna enjoys, we also release that enjoyment, Prabhu. I think you were mentioning briefly this point, Prabhu. How do we understand, Prabhu, that point? Because we are always looking for enjoyment. And when the Supreme Lord is pleased, we are also pleased, so that we understand that point and we serve more.
So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Nashotati nakamshati samasarveshu bhutanam mad bhaktim labate param. He says when one realizes the self, Brahma Bhuta, one becomes fully joyful. That is what we are looking for, fully joyful. So Krishna has established that this is the process to happiness. It is to realize the self as the eternal servant of Krishna. Now, then we have to understand that hearing that instruction is not sufficient, at least for myself. So we need more evidence. We need more examples. And if we study Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna came in the mood of a devotee to show us that this selfless love, not serving Krishna for the purpose of enjoying, but actually for the exclusive purpose of Krishna's enjoyment, is what gives the ultimate happiness. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going into his ecstatic symptoms of happiness. By what process? By selfless service. Not only to Krishna, not to Krishna though. What he wanted, what was his position in service? Das anudas anudas anudas. The servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. I am not qualified to serve Krishna, but someone more qualified than me is, I will serve them. Because my goal is to please Krishna. So when one renders such selfless service, then this happiness is bestowed upon them. And if you want some good evidence, read Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 4 or 5, I'm thinking 4. The internal reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. There's a beautiful narration of the transcendental happiness competition between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani being the embodiment of Krishna's pleasure, the Hladini Shakti, knowing how to please Krishna better than anybody in the mood of devotion. We see that how she even fights to subdue her own happiness so that Krishna can be more pleased. And when she does that, she becomes even more happier than Krishna. And Krishna is perplexed. How is it that I am the source of everything? I am the supreme controller. I am Purnam, complete, yet my devotee has something I don't have, which is even more happiness than me. And so to explain why Krishna comes, the internal reasons, to experience that superior bliss that is only experienced by his pure selfless devotee, he comes. So when we read that, we'll have even more faith that yes, this selfless service is the only means to perfection of life. So Krishna says it scripturally, and he says it in many other places. I just quoted one reference, this Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. But then our whole Gora Lila is an illustration of that. And you can see Srila Prabhupada himself, his ecstatic mood was experienced, not, of course, in Vrindavan Dham, but it was accentuated in hellish places of even like New York City. Because what he was doing, he was selflessly serving. He wasn't looking for his own comforts. He gave up all of his own comforts for the pleasure of Krishna. So we have scriptural evidence, we have evidence of our acharyas, and hopefully some of our own evidence as well. It's okay, Prabhu? Anything else I can offer?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you pronounce Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for your effort and activity. Please do your effort regularly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your blessings.
Krishna, is there anybody having any more questions, Prabhuji? Okay, if there are no more questions, once again I thank you, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class and your association and on the auspicious day of because you are really stressing how to give the holy name to others and how we should give the holy name. And so it's very nice, Prabhuji, once again. This is such a beautiful class and we are looking forward for your association in the future. Let us all offer obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya कृपस्य पुण्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय रामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय इस श्रेष्ठ नित्य कृष्ण प्रभु जी की जय
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
This session is no longer being recorded.